Approximately 70% of people aged 18 to 34 listen to music on a daily basis. Music is a big part of our everyday lives. It is a way we express our thoughts and feelings, whether it be listening to sad songs when we're upset, to loud, aggressive music when we're angry, to jumping up and down playing an air guitar while jamming out to some rock and roll music. In the 1950s, rock and roll had a major impact on American culture, thanks to Elvis Presley. He changed the experience of rock and roll music, brought whites and African Americans together, served our country in the Army, and overall left an impact on everyone he encountered. So a little bit about his life before fame and growing up. Elvis was kind of an average boy, if not a little bit below average. He was very poor. Him and his family, they didn't have much. They moved from house to house because they couldn't keep up with the bills. In fact, the only stable place in his life was church, where he became a fan of gospel music. He loved to sing and dance in the choir and even sing on his own. Elvis was born on January 8, 1935, in Tupelo, Mississippi. He was actually born with a twin brother who was stillborn. And he died on August 16, 1977 in Memphis, Tennessee. In Memphis, Tennessee, that was where his fame began and he became the king of rock and roll. Once him and his family moved to Tennessee, he began to take guitar lessons. He was about 13 years old at this time, and he was actually a very shy kid in high school. And like I said before, he didn't have very many friends. But once he picked up that guitar or stood up to the mic, he just had a blast. And while he was taking these guitar lessons, every now and then he would do his own thing. He would replay another song from a different artist and give it his own little twist, and it actually caught the attention of producers. In 1954, he got a call from Sun Records, where he recorded his first record that ended up being a very big hit. Elvis had a new and inviting music style. He mixed the blues and pop music with country and gospel music, and it just kind of changed the experience of the music industry. He was a white man in a predominantly white community, singing a genre of music that was typically associated with African Americans. In the beginning of his music career, there were a lot of radio stations that did not want to play his music because they associated it with black music, and it was inappropriate for them to play on their station. But that didn't stop him. He called other radio stations and producers, and they eventually let him play his music. He brought the community together by singing this type of music. So in the 1950s and 60s, it was a crucial time for African Americans. Even though there was no segregation anymore, there was still tension, and a lot of businesses still wouldn't let coloreds in. But once Elvis stepped up to the podium, singing and dancing in the way that he did, it turned heads. It changed the perspectives of some people. Some people respected him for it, but some people despised him for it as well. He even had African American band members and backup singers, which is what this image is right here. These are his backup singers. They were known as Sweet Inspirations. I watched a video clip, which was an interview with one of these fine ladies, and she had talked about they went to this gig in Texas where Elvis was talking to his people, and they said, "You can come in, but you can leave the black girls home." And Elvis was like, "Then I'm not going to come in because I'm not going to do the gig without my girls." And of course, because everybody wanted Elvis there, they had no choice but to let these females in with him. And he always made sure that they were treated with just as much respect as he would be treated with, and that they got the star treatment. He was an inspiration to a lot of people, mainly teenagers at this time, but the older he got, the more he became inspired with, or the more older people looked up to him. I'm going to read one of his famous quotes. He quoted, "I ain't no saint, but I've tried never to do anything that would hurt my family or offend God. I figure all any kid needs is hope and the feeling he or she belongs. If I could do or say anything that would give some kid that feeling, I would believe I had contributed something to the world." So just a few years after he got his career started, in 1958, he was drafted into the Army, and he accepted it. He was there to serve 2 years, and after his first 18 months, he became a sergeant and was able to return home at night and go to work in the morning. When he would return home, he would practice singing songs and playing the guitar, and his manager would actually release some singles just to keep the money flowing and his fans happy. Due to his acceptance to the draft, he was an inspiration to many young men. And after his 2 years, he returned back to Memphis, where his fame began all over. He was more than just a rock star. He ended up being an actor and played in a lot of TV shows and movies. Elvis is very important to me because he reminds me of my childhood. My dad is actually a very big fan of Elvis, and he is one of the reasons I got into it. When I think of Elvis, I feel warmth and inspiration. It amazes me to know that there was an important figure out there who started out as such a poor boy with little friends and who loved to play guitar, who turned out to be one of the greatest inspirations in history. His voice is very soothing to my ears, and I love the lyrics to some of his songs. They really tell a story. When I was a kid, my dad was a race car driver, and I remember every weekend when we would go to the races, Elvis was one of the only artists that we listened to on the way there and back. We even got the chance to go to Graceland in Memphis and experience what it was like for Elvis growing up and where his fame began. Even if you're not a big Elvis fan, I recommend that you do go to Graceland at some point in your life and experience how amazing it is. So as you can see, Elvis was a very important role model in the American community. He was more than just a rock star. He was, and still is, an inspiration to many people. He dreamed a big dream, and he made it happen when most people would just walk away. He continued to fight for his passion and the people of his community without giving up. He changed the music industry by adding his own personal style and left an impact on the lives of many individuals. Like everyone, he had lovers and he had haters, but overall he chose to love and welcome everyone with open arms. Thank you.